All right.
Dr. Lou Niles.
Well, I got to stand near you here. I'm the guy you don't want to really know because I'm the doctor of last resort, it seems, and I'm usually dealing with end-stage cancers. And as you know, sugar is the food of cancer, and so it's counterindicated to give juice to cancer patients. So I very reluctantly got involved in MonaVie. And I only got involved in it when I realized there was something else going on in the combination of the juices that Dr. Carson put together. And it's more than just fruit juices. It's the combination that seems to be working. So I've never lost a cancer patient yet. And so I threw this juice into the formula and the protocol, and it has had a tremendous effect on everyone that I'm involved with. And everybody that is involved with cancer is becoming a distributor by an act of last resort, sort of. But they are all embracing the juice, and it's really helped them through the healing process. And there's a big story behind this, and we don't have enough time tonight to go into it. But if you ever want to get a hold of me and talk about it, I can go through the specifics of why MonaVie works. It's a pretty amazing story. So that's about it for 3 minutes.
Well, you need a little longer. Go ahead. Another 3.
All right. So, do you want to know why MonaVie works?
Yeah. Why not?
If I tell you why MonaVie works, what I'm also giving you is keys to a long life, if you're willing to embrace that. And are you up for listening to this? It's not very long, but it is going to involve a little bit of an explanation. Now, some of you have heard this before. I've recognized a few of you in past meetings. Adam, if you'll bring my whiteboard up, because I want to explain one phenomenon. I always travel with my whiteboard. Let me give you a little bit of a background. I'm a former firefighter paramedic from San Diego. I was a paramedic for 15 years, and I finally realized that reactive medicine, reacting to an emergency, was not the way to deal with health. So I went back to school and became a teacher and a counselor. I'm a wellness counselor. Even people that I work with in cancer, I do not consider a doctor-patient relationship because I don't heal anybody. I don't heal anybody any more than MonaVie heals. What MonaVie is doing, though, is creating a ability of the body to go back to nature and heal itself. So, what I wanted to do is show you how life works in one easy lesson. I learned this actually in the fire academy, which is really a weird place to pick this up. It wasn't in medical school. This is the triangle of life, actually. It's also the fire triangle. You are mostly water. You're water with dirt in it. That's basically what you're composed of. But you're also made of carbon. And this is the secret of life. This is also why we're aging. This is also why we get diseases. If you understand this principle, you have total control over your destiny and health. In order to have a fire, you have to have oxygen, you have to have heat, and you have to have a fuel. On Earth, the only fuel we ever deal with is carbon. Whether it's the fireplace, the barbecue, the car, or our bodies. All we do is burn carbon molecules. We get oxygen, obviously, from our air, and the heat, interesting enough, the reason you're 98.6 is because your cells are burning carbon 24/7. Now, here's the problem. When you burn carbon, what do you give off?
Smoke.
You give off smoke. You give off smoke and you give off carbon that is real hungry for oxygen, and it goes around and steals it, and that's CO2. Now, smoke, whether it's in your fireplace or your house is burning down or it's the barbecue, is toxic. The smoke that you create in your cells is toxic, and it will age you very fast unless you interfere with that. And I'll get to MonaVie in a minute. If you can interfere with the smoke, this is a human cell, and there's a little place in the cell that burns carbon or a calorie, if you can interfere with the smoke coming off the trillions and trillions of cells burning day and night, you can slow down your aging to a snail's pace, like the Okinawans. The Okinawans are the longest living people on the planet. The Okinawans do not get cancer. The Okinawans do not get heart disease. The Okinawans do not get diabetes. And the reason is they oxidize very slow. And they control it primarily by controlling the fuel that they put in their body. MonaVie came along and became an epidemic. In 2 years, $1 billion of juice went out into the world. Why? What happened? What did Dr. Carson actually create that day when they introduced MonaVie to the marketplace? And why has it become such an epidemic that it also has created a tremendous amount of wealth along the way? The reason is that MonaVie is so loaded with antioxidants and anti-inflammatories that it immediately scrubs all the smoke that's being produced by the body and immediately stops and slows down oxidation. Can't do it 100%, but it slows it down, and if you drink MonaVie on a regular basis for the rest of your life, it becomes part of your menu, you will have put in your body enough antioxidants to keep from aging in a rapid pace. What it also does, it also allows your T killer cells, which are your immune cells, to arrest any virus, bacteria, fungus, or loose cancer cells. This is why it's such a cool product. There is no other food on the planet that works this. Remember, MonaVie is a whole food. The skins and the seeds are in the juice. I know you get a piece of chunk every once in a while when you take a drink. That's the best kind of food to eat because 90% of all the nutrients in the plant are in the skin and the seeds. Well, that's what you want to eat. Filtered fruit juice that you buy at the store that's clear is just sugar water. And that's why MonaVie is working where other fruit juices don't. You're eating a whole food. Let me tell you what happens if a free radical gets inside your cell. It's looking for oxygen. It doesn't care where it gets it. It's going to steal oxygen from somewhere. That free radical comes from the burning process of breaking down carbon. If it enters the cell looking for oxygen and gets into the nucleus, inside the nucleus is a little thing called our DNA. If it gets the DNA, and the DNA switch for regrowth is on the on position, that switch will stay on, and that cell will begin to replicate and replicate and replicate, and what do we call that? Cancer. That's the beginning of a tumor. It takes 10 years to build a tumor. We have an epidemic in this country right now. 1 in 2 men is going to get cancer. 1 in 3 women are going to get cancer. For the first time in history, children of this generation are possibly going to die before their parents. It's never happened in the history of the United States before. We have the highest rate of disease in any industrialized nation in the world. Well, what MonaVie is doing is it is actually causing the pendulum to swing the other way. We're going from an ignorance about health and nutrition. We're now becoming aware of what's going on, because when you open up a bottle of MonaVie and you start getting a kick and you start feeling better and your pains go away and your headaches go away, then you begin to say, nutrition counts. It really does count. And all of a sudden your brain and everything else comes along with this shift in consciousness. This is why it's such a business deal. This is why it's such a powerful business deal. Because you're going into the wellness business and you're going along with that pendulum to swing back the other way. This is the greatest product to come down the pipe. I very reluctantly got involved in it because I thought I would have a conflict of interest. But now I realize the doctors are the ones with the conflict, the MDs are the ones with the conflict of interest when they send you out with prescriptions. This is amazing. I can tell you a whole bunch of stories associated with people who have recovered from serious illnesses. All MonaVie does It doesn't heal, but it interferes with the process of aging. Everything rusts. We are rusting right now. And by the way, we will continue to rust after we die. This is all part of life. From the plants to us, everything alive is going to age and oxidize and finally pass away. But you were designed by your DNA to last 113 years. Now, why they picked 113, I have no idea. But 113 years is what science says is the lifespan of a human being. If you don't get to 100, you have shortchanged yourself on life. And the way you allow yourself to get to 100 and be healthy, that's the secret. You monitor the amount of oxidation going on in your body. Remember, the only antioxidants on the planet exist in plants. That's the only place you can get them. So if you're not eating plants, you're not getting your fair share of antioxidants, and you're going to age too fast. Any questions? That's really the short version.
Anybody have any questions? He's the man.
When you're treating for cancer, what would be the dosage of MonaVie take?
MonaVie is a fruit juice, as simple as that. And you drink it as much, you create your own dosage based upon how you feel. I'm drinking 3 times a day, probably 4 to 5 ounces per serving. I'm drinking juice like juice. And I'll tell you why. Is because the other day, about 3 weeks ago, I picked up my dollar store glasses. I buy 10 at a time and lose them all the time. I got this whole stack of dollar store glasses, and I put mine on to work on the computer after awakening, and I couldn't see very well. And I thought I picked up a pair from months ago when my eyes were better, and I figured this was just a bad pair. But every pair I picked up, I couldn't see very well. Wow. So, off to the dollar store, I bought another generation of glasses. But instead of going up, I had to come down. In other words, my eyes were improving. I went from 300 to 275, and now I'm at 225. Well, that triggered me to increase my dosage of MonaVie because my eyes are actually getting better. That dovetails into another story about macular degeneration of the eyes. MonaVie has had more of an impact on eye healing than any other illness. And the reason is this. The eyes are the most sensitive to oxidative stress. All of us, usually around 40, end up having to get glasses. That should never have happened.
I'm not trying to get close. We're just going to like.
Yeah, I worry about this. Yeah. I think it's the earrings, guy. If we understood this principle, I didn't even back then. I didn't understand it either. If we had understood this principle in our youth and had eaten our vegetables, like Mom said, we probably could have starved off that deterioration of our eyes by decades. Okanomans don't wear glasses as a practice. So the secret is here. It's that simple. Did that answer your question?
Just one little question. Did you guys dress like that on purpose to show the colors between the original and the active?
That's good.
Well, that's pretty observant. And you've been straying in your thinking because I wanted you to think about this and you went off somewhere. Yeah. By the way, one of the things you noticed in the film that they talked about all the colors of the rainbow in the MonaVie bottle. And you look over there at the vegetables, they're also the same colors. Vegetables and fruits have the same colors. They do the same thing. Nature gives the plants protection against viruses, fungus, and bacteria. The deal is, if you will eat the plants, they will give you the same protection. That's the deal in nature. And there's a reason for that. Nature wants you to eat plants. Your DNA wants you to eat plants. And the exchange is that will keep you healthy. You were put on this earth with a kit of food to allow you to go from birth to death in 100 years if you use the food that was given to you. The reason you want fresh, whole foods is because they're the ones that suck the minerals out of the ground, and it's the minerals that rebuild your cells. You're made of minerals. You're the periodic table. Anybody remember the periodic table? Everything in there, mercury, zinc, arsenic, everything that's in the earth is in your body. Fortunately for arsenic, it's in a trace amount. But you have that in your body. And if you do not replace those minerals on a daily basis, you oxidize at hyperspeed. And you'll die in your 60s or 70s as a general rule. About 40 years too early. So, MonaVie is a gift from the gods, my friends, and because the soil is so rich down there, you eat the acai berry, you're getting all the minerals of the earth. The only other place, the only other plant that even comes close to the acai berry is seaweed. So, any other questions? What's that? Yes. Question.
I have a friend who was terminal cancer, and she just got out of the hospital. They want to put her back in, and she won't go back in. If she starts taking MonaVie, like a bottle a day or whatever, it will at least ease her pain a bit.
It will help her. It will add, it will add quality to her life. If she has more than 90 days of life left, there is a possibility of reversing it. I deal with end-stage cancers. I deal with hospice cancers, where everybody has given up, except maybe the family and the patient. And there's ways of reversing it. The way to reverse it is to do the opposite of what you've been doing for the last 10, 15 years. Basically, that's it. I'll come into a kitchen and pull everything out of it and put new stuff back into it. And the lifestyle change that goes along with that, MonaVie is part of that. MonaVie is a very powerful assistant to the body's healing process. Very powerful. I can't find a food that does that. And I've tried all foods. The acai berry alone, if you were to eat the acai berry alone for 30, 60, 90, a half a year, you would show no signs of malnutrition. It's the only food on earth that is a complete food. You can't do that with asparagus, you can't do that with a banana, you can't do that with any other food. Only the acai berry. It's a freak in nature. It's a powerful freak. It's ironic it was hidden in the jungles for all these years, at least to us.
You're saying that you can basically survive on that alone?
Not forever, but yes. Yes. Mothers that quit lactating are feeding acai berry, acai, not MonaVie, of course, acai berry juice to their infants. And they've been doing it for centuries, the natives in the jungle. It's a complete food. It's an amazing food. Absolutely amazing.
What is what's the difference? There's two different types?
I mean, there's active and there's regular.
Yeah, I mean, is that something you can answer?
We've added some things to the active to help with joint rebuilding and to help decrease inflammation. The regular is just raw fruit. So children and probably mothers lactating and mothers who are pregnant probably should drink the regular. There's no need to get the glucosamine and the essential fatty acids because they're going to get that through the other nutrition. The baby, a fetus is made with the material that the mother eats. So the highest quality food should be eaten. And MonaVie I put in that category. Absolutely the highest food you can get. The strongest, the most healing food.
So there's no problem with pregnant women drinking the original MonaVie?
The original.
The original. It's probably not a problem the other way either, but babies and infants make plenty of glucosamine in their blood, so you do not need to add to it, but you don't want to do that.
Are we glad we gave more than 3 minutes?
Yeah.